In the quaint town of Vallejo, California, the morning of August 10, 2000, dawned bright and hopeful. It was a special day for young Misi Sanchez, her 8th birthday. The town, nestled in the gentle embrace of rolling hills, was stirring to life as Misi, with a spring in her step, made her way to school. The sun cast a golden glow over the streets, promising a day of joy and celebration. But as the day unfolded, the golden light would soon give way to shadows of dread. Misi, a vibrant and independent spirit, known for her cheerful demeanor and adventurous heart, never returned home from school that day. The news of her disappearance spread like wildfire, sending shockwaves through the tight-knit community. Whispers turned into worried conversations as the sun dipped below the horizon. Front porches that were meant to be lit up with birthday candles and laughter were now stages for hushed, anxious gatherings. As night fell, the Sanchez family home, once filled with anticipation for a joyous celebration, became a beacon of despair. The town, which had never known such terror, found itself gripped by an unsettling silence, broken only by the occasional sounds of police sirens and the murmurs of volunteers gathering to search for Misi. Under the pale moonlight, the streets of Vallejo, once safe and familiar, now echoed with the haunting possibility that one of their own was lost, possibly forever. In the heart of this turmoil was the Sanchez family, their home a whirlwind of fear and confusion. Misi's empty chair at the dinner table was a stark reminder of the nightmare they were living. As the clock ticked, each passing moment was a stark reminder of their daughter's absence, and the once happy home was now a fortress of sorrow, holding its breath for any news of Misi. This was the beginning of a story that would soon captivate not just a town but a nation, a story of innocence lost, and a community's fight against the shadows. The disappearance of Misi Sanchez was more than just a news headline. It was a chilling reminder of the fragility of safety and the strength of a family's love. As the first night without Misi drew to a close, the stars above Vallejo seemed to dim, echoing the fear and uncertainty that had descended upon the town. The journey to uncover the truth behind Misi's vanishing had just begun. The morning after Misi's disappearance dawned with a heavy heart in Vallejo. News of the young girl's vanishing had spread through the community like a cold wind, leaving a chill of fear and concern in its wake. The Sanchez family, surrounded by worried relatives and friends, found themselves at the center of a rapidly growing search effort. It was as if time had stopped in Vallejo. Shops opened late, if at all, and the usual bustle of the town was replaced by a solemn urgency. Posters with Misi's smiling face were quickly printed and plastered on every lamppost, storefront, and bulletin board. The image of her bright eyes and cheerful grin, now a symbol of the town's collective hope and despair, stared back at the residents from every corner. The local police, initially perplexed by the mysterious case, were joined by the FBI as the gravity of the situation became clear. They combed through the streets, parks, and alleys, leaving no stone unturned. Volunteers, some whom knew Misi and many who didn't, flocked to join the search. They formed groups, armed with flashlights and maps, scouring the town and its outskirts, calling out Misi's name into the void. The air was thick with tension and fear, but also with a powerful sense of community. Neighbors who had barely spoken to each other before came together, united in their determination to find Misi. They walked shoulder to shoulder through dense woods and along the riverbanks, their eyes searching for any sign of the missing girl. As the day turned into evening, and then night, the town lit up with the lights of search parties, their beams cutting through the darkness, an unwavering symbol of hope amidst despair. The searchers, fueled by a mix of adrenaline and concern, pushed on, even as their bodies grew weary and their voices hoarse. Amidst this chaos, Misi's family held a silent vigil at their home, their eyes glued to the door, praying for it to open and reveal their beloved daughter. The house, once filled with the laughter and energy of a large, loving family, now echoed with unspoken fears and unshed tears. As the second night without Misi wrapped the town in its dark embrace, the people of Vallejo realized that this was more than a search for a missing child. It was a fight against the unknown, a testament to the power of hope, and a rallying cry for a community that refused to be broken. The night sky over Vallejo bore witness to a town united, its people bound together by a single, unyielding goal: to bring Misi home. In the heart of Vallejo, as the search for Misi Sanchez continued with unwavering intensity, a disturbing realization began to surface. The community, already shaken by Misi's disappearance, was forced to confront a haunting truth. This was not the first time a child had vanished from their streets. Whispers turned into worried conversations as long-held fears resurfaced. Parents clutched their children a little tighter, and neighbors looked at each other with a mix of suspicion and dread. The town, once a picture of suburban tranquility, now seemed to harbor dark secrets in its shadows. 7 years prior, in December 1999, less than a year before Misi's disappearance, the town had been rocked by a similar tragedy. Sienna Fairchild, a 7-year-old girl living just a few kilometers from Misi's home, had disappeared on her way to school. Despite a massive search operation and the efforts of the police and FBI, Sienna was never found. The case remained an open wound in the community, a painful reminder of their vulnerability. The parallels between Misi's and Sienna's cases were chillingly clear. Both were young girls, both had vanished in broad daylight, and both disappearances had left no trace, as if the girls had simply vanished into thin air. The fear that a serial kidnapper might be preying on their children was a terrifying prospect that gripped the hearts of every parent in Vallejo. In hushed tones, parents recounted stories of other children who had gone missing over the years, each tale adding to the growing sense of panic. The town, once a safe haven, now felt like a hunting ground for an unseen predator. The realization that their children were not safe walking the streets they had known all their lives was a heavy burden for the community to bear. As the search for Misi entered its third day, the police and FBI began to consider the possibility that these cases were connected. Investigators pored over old files, looking for patterns and clues that they might have missed. Every resource was mobilized, every lead followed, no matter how faint. But the question that haunted everyone's mind was the same. If these cases were indeed connected, what did that mean for Misi? The fear of the unknown, of what might have befallen their beloved girl, weighed heavily on the town. The shadow of the past loomed over Vallejo, a grim reminder that sometimes the monsters they feared were not just in the stories told to scare children. As the sun set on the third day of the search, the town braced itself for what the darkness might bring, hoping against hope for a miracle that would bring Misi back to them. As the dawn of the fourth day broke over the town of Vallejo, the light seemed to struggle against the heavy cloud of worry and despair that had settled over the Sanchez home. In the heart of this storm of emotion was Misi's mother, a woman whose world had been turned upside down in the blink of an eye. Her home, once filled with the joyful noise of her children, now echoed with the silence of Misi's absence. The birthday decorations that had been put up with such care now served as a cruel reminder of the celebration that never happened. Each passing moment was a torment, a relentless reminder of her missing daughter. Misi's mother found herself replaying the morning of the disappearance over and over in her mind, searching for any clue, any sign she might have missed. She remembered Misi's request to skip school on her birthday, and her own refusal, a decision that now haunted her every thought. Guilt and fear gripped her heart, the what-ifs and should-haves a constant torment. She moved through the days in a haze, her eyes red and swollen from tears, her voice hoarse from calling Misi's name during the endless searches. Friends and family gathered around, offering words of comfort, but they fell on deaf ears. Nothing could penetrate the overwhelming sense of loss that enveloped her. In her moments of solitude, Misi's mother would clutch her daughter's belongings, seeking solace in her scent and presence. The small joys they had shared, the bedtime stories, the morning walks to school, all were now memories tinged with the sharp pain of absence. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the Sanchez's front yard, where volunteers and neighbors had gathered to coordinate another night of searching, Missy's mother stepped outside. She looked out at the sea of faces, the people who had come to help find her daughter, and felt a surge of gratitude mixed with despair. With tears streaming down her face, she addressed the crowd, her voice breaking with emotion. She pleaded for her daughter's safe return, her words a raw and powerful testament to a mother's love. She spoke of Missy's laughter, her dreams, her vibrant spirit, painting a picture of the daughter she so desperately hoped to see again. As night fell and the search party set out once more, Missy's mother remained behind, surrounded by the fading echoes of birthday songs that would never be sung. In the darkness of her home, she whispered a prayer, a plea to the universe to bring her daughter back to her arms. The night air was filled with the sounds of hope and determination, but inside the Sanchez home, there was only the sound of a mother's heart breaking. Piece by piece, with each passing second that Missy remained lost. The fifth day since Missy's disappearance began with a heavy mist that seemed to mirror the mood of Vallejo. As the search for the young girl continued, a palpable sense of fear had begun to take hold of the town. The bustling streets were now quiet, the usual chatter replaced by hushed tones and anxious glances. Parents held their children a little closer, and the laughter of kids playing outside had all but disappeared. The community, once vibrant and trusting, was now shadowed by the specter of an unseen menace. The realization that someone among them could be responsible for the disappearance of not just Missy, but potentially other children in the past, was a chilling thought that no one could shake. Local businesses turned their storefronts into impromptu command centers for the search efforts, offering free supplies and space for volunteers to gather. Coffee shops, usually filled with the aroma of freshly brewed coffee and the sound of casual conversation, were now quiet, their patrons focused on discussing the latest updates and theories about Missy's case. At the local school, teachers tried to maintain a sense of normalcy, but the empty desks served as a grim reminder of the tragedy that had befallen their community. Children, sensing the anxiety of the adults, moved through their days with a subdued air, their innocence clouded by the harsh reality of the situation. The local police, working tirelessly, faced the growing pressure and frustration of a community desperate for answers. Each lead, no matter how small, was pursued with fervor, but with each passing day, the hope of finding Missy began to wane, replaced by the fear of what might be revealed. Rumors and suspicions swirled through the town, as people began to look at their neighbors with distrust. The unity and solidarity that had initially brought the community together were being tested by the growing uncertainty and fear. As the evening drew near, a candlelight vigil was organized in the town square. Hundreds of residents gathered, holding candles that flickered in the growing darkness, their faces a tapestry of sorrow and determination. Prayers were offered, and songs were sung, the collective plea for Missy's safe return. The sight of the candlelit faces, united in their hope and grief, was a poignant reminder of the impact one child could have on a community. But as the night deepened, and the candles began to burn out, the people of Vallejo were left to confront the uncomfortable truth. The longer Missy remained missing, the more likely it was that their town would never be the same again. In the quiet of the night, as the last candle was extinguished, the town of Vallejo lay under a blanket of apprehension, the darkness seeming to hold more questions than answers. The fear that had gripped the hearts of its residents was a stark contrast to the peace and safety they had once taken for granted. On the sixth day of Missy's disappearance, Vallejo awoke to a dense fog that seemed to embody the mystery and uncertainty that had engulfed the town. As the search continued with a sense of urgency, a glimmer of hope emerged from the most unexpected of places. Late in the afternoon, a worker at a local landfill, miles away from the center of the search efforts, made a startling discovery. Amidst the heaps of discarded items, he found a collection of bloodied rags. The sight of them, so out of place amidst the trash, sent a shiver down his spine. Acting on instinct, he immediately reported his find to the authorities. The police rushed to the scene, cordoning off the area as they began their investigation. The rags, stained with blood, seemed to be a silent witness to a grim event. The possibility that they could be linked to Missi's disappearance was a thought that none dared to voice, yet it hung heavily in the air. As night fell, the landfill became the epicenter of activity. Floodlights illuminated the scene, casting long, eerie shadows as investigators combed through the area. The rags were carefully collected and sent for forensic analysis, with the hope that they might yield some clue, any clue, to Missi's whereabouts. The news of the discovery spread through Vallejo like wildfire. Residents huddled around their televisions and radios, hanging on to every update. The thought that these rags could be a turning point in the investigation brought a renewed sense of urgency to the town. At the Sanchez home, Missi's family gathered, holding on to each other as they awaited news from the police. The discovery of the rags was a double-edged sword. It was a potential lead, but it also brought with it the terrifying prospect of what it might mean. Meanwhile, at the local police station, officers worked through the night, following up on every detail. The rags were analyzed for DNA, and the results were cross-referenced with Missi's medical records. The town held its breath, waiting for news that could either reignite their hope or confirm their worst fears. The investigation at the landfill continued tirelessly, as officers searched for any additional evidence that might have been discarded. Each piece of trash was examined, each clue scrutinized, in the hope of piecing together the events that led to Missi's disappearance. As dawn broke on the seventh day, the town of Vallejo was a community on edge. The discovery of the landfill had opened a new chapter in the search for Misi, one that seemed to lead further into the darkness. The hope that had once united the town was now tinged with apprehension, as they waited for the truth that the bloodied rags might reveal. The seventh day since Missi's disappearance began with a tension that was almost palpable in the air of Vallejo. The town, already on edge from the grim discovery at the landfill, braced itself for what might come next. It was on this day that an unexpected breakthrough would occur, altering the course of the investigation and reigniting a flicker of hope among the desolate hearts of the townspeople. It was mid-morning when a call came into the police station that would change everything. A truck driver, traveling through an industrial area on the outskirts of town, reported a startling encounter. He described how a small, frightened girl had suddenly appeared and ran towards his truck, screaming for help. She clambered into the cabin, breathless and terrified, claiming that someone was chasing her. The truck driver, his heart racing with alarm, immediately called the police. As he tried to comfort the girl, he noticed a man in the distance, watching them. Upon seeing the truck stop, the man turned and hurriedly retreated to his vehicle, driving away swiftly. When the police arrived, they were met with a sight that brought tears to their eyes. It was Misi Sanchez, alive but visibly shaken. Her escape from her abductor was nothing short of miraculous. The officers wrapped her in a blanket and gently led her to their vehicle, ready to take her to safety. The news of Missi's escape spread rapidly through Vallejo, igniting a collective sigh of relief. The dark cloud that had hung over the town began to lift, as joy and gratitude replaced the fear and despair. Missi's family, upon hearing the news, was overcome with emotion. Their prayers had been answered. Their little girl was coming home. The truck driver, hailed as a hero, provided the police with a crucial piece of evidence: the license plate number of the man's car. He recounted the harrowing events, his account a testament to his bravery and quick thinking. His role in Missi's rescue was a beacon of hope, a reminder of the goodness that existed even in the darkest of times. As Misi was reunited with her family, the town of Vallejo came together in a celebration unlike any other. Tears of joy and relief were shed as people hugged their neighbors, thankful for the safe return of one of their own. The streets, once filled with the somber mood of the search, now echoed with cheers and applause. However, the story was far from over. The identity of the man who had taken Misi was still unknown, and the police were determined to bring him to justice. The investigation took on a new urgency as detectives followed the trail of the mysterious abductor. In the midst of the celebration, there was a sense of resolve among the residents of Vallejo. They had come together in the face of adversity, and now they stood united, ready to support Misi and her family in the days to come. The town had been through a dark journey, but the return of Misi Sanchez was a light that promised a new dawn. As the town of Vallejo rejoiced in the miraculous return of Misi Sanchez, the focus of the community and law enforcement swiftly shifted to apprehending the perpetrator. The joy of Misi's safe return was tinged with the determination to see justice served. Armed with the license plate number provided by the alert truck driver, the police wasted no time. The vehicle was quickly traced to a local resident, a man named Curtis Dean Anderson. Anderson, in his late 30s, was not unfamiliar to law enforcement. His history of petty crimes and a previous charge of abduction sent a shiver down the spine of the detectives working on the case. As the search for Anderson intensified, Misi, surrounded by the love and care of her family, began the difficult process of healing. In the safety of her home, she recounted the harrowing tale of her abduction and captivity. Her story was a chilling narrative of manipulation and fear, painting a picture of a man who had methodically planned his heinous act. Meanwhile, the police, leveraging every resource at their disposal, launched a manhunt for Anderson. His face, broadcast across local news and social media, became a symbol of the evil that had lurked unseen in their community. The residents of Vallejo, still reeling from the recent events, were on high alert, their eyes vigilant for any sign of the wanted man. The break in the case came quicker than expected. Acting on a tip, the police located Anderson's vehicle abandoned in a secluded area on the outskirts of town. The discovery was a critical lead, suggesting that Anderson might still be close by, possibly hiding in fear of being caught. The subsequent search operation was extensive and exhaustive. Helicopters circled overhead, while police officers and K-9 units combed the surrounding areas. The tension in Vallejo was palpable as the manhunt continued, every resident holding their breath, waiting for the news of Anderson's capture. Finally, after hours of relentless searching, the breakthrough came. Anderson was found hiding in an abandoned shed, his expression one of resignation as he was taken into custody. The moment of his arrest brought a collective sense of relief to the town, a feeling of closure after days of uncertainty and fear. As Anderson was led away in handcuffs, the community of Vallejo came together once again, this time in a shared sense of justice and resolution. The town had been tested by the forces of darkness, but in the end, it was their unity and resilience that had prevailed. In the days that followed, as Misi began to slowly recover from her ordeal, the town of Vallejo continued to show its support and love for her and her family. Fundraisers and events were organized to help with her recovery, and messages of hope and strength poured in from all corners of the community. The capture of Curtis Dean Anderson marked the end of a dark chapter for Vallejo, but it was also the beginning of a new journey of healing and rebuilding. The strength and courage shown by Misi, her family, and the entire community were a testament to the enduring power of hope and the unbreakable spirit of a town that refused to be defeated. In the wake of Curtis Dean Anderson's capture, the town of Vallejo began a slow but determined journey towards healing and recovery. The ordeal of Misi Sanchez's abduction and miraculous escape had left an indelible mark on the community, but it also brought to light the incredible resilience and unity of its people. Misi, at the heart of this storm, was like a beacon of hope for many. Her strength in the face of such adversity became a source of inspiration. However, the road to recovery was not easy. The physical scars might have healed, but the emotional and psychological wounds required time and care. She underwent counseling, surrounded by the unwavering support of her family, who were her pillars of strength. The Sanchez home, once a site of despair, slowly transformed back into a haven of love and warmth. Misi's room, which had remained untouched during her absence, once again echoed with her laughter and chatter. Her family, deeply grateful for her return, focused on creating a sense of normalcy, celebrating her belated birthday with a small, intimate gathering that symbolized their rebirth as a family. In Vallejo, the spirit of community shone brighter than ever. People who had come together during the search for Misi continued to support each other, fostering a sense of kinship that transcended the tragedy. Schools organized workshops and seminars on safety and awareness, empowering children and parents alike. The local police, hailed as heroes, were celebrated by the town. Their relentless pursuit of justice had not only brought a criminal to book, but had also restored faith in the law and order of Vallejo. The case of Misi Sanchez had brought them closer to the community they served, forging bonds of trust and respect. As for Curtis Dean Anderson, his arrest and subsequent trial became a focal point of the town's desire for justice. The courtroom was often filled with Vallejo residents, a silent show of solidarity for Misi and her family. When the verdict was finally delivered, finding Anderson guilty on multiple charges, there was a collective sense of closure. The healing process was gradual. Vigils were held, not just for Misi, but for all the children who had been victims of such crimes. These vigils were not just moments of mourning, but also of collective strength, a promise from the community to protect and cherish its young. Misi, through her journey, became an unwitting symbol of resilience. She showed that even in the darkest of times, the human spirit could endure and overcome. Her story was a reminder to the people of Vallejo of the power of hope and the importance of community. As life in Vallejo resumed its regular pace, the events that had transpired took on the quality of a shared memory, a painful yet pivotal chapter in the town's history. It was a reminder that even in the face of unimaginable darkness, there could be light, and that together, a community could rise and rebuild, stronger and more united than ever. Months had passed since the harrowing events that shook Vallejo, and the town was slowly blossoming into a new phase of resilience and unity. Misi Sanchez, once the center of a terrifying ordeal, was now the symbol of a community's indomitable spirit. Her journey from victim to survivor had inspired many, and her story of bravery and strength continued to resonate throughout Vallejo. Misi, with the unwavering support of her family and the entire community, had made remarkable strides in her recovery. She returned to school, welcomed back with open arms by her classmates and teachers. While the shadows of her ordeal sometimes lingered in her eyes, there was also a newfound determination and strength. The experience, while traumatic, had ignited in Misi a desire to help others. She became involved in community outreach programs, sharing her story and advocating for child safety. Her voice, once silenced by fear, was now a beacon of hope and empowerment. Misi's courage in the face of adversity inspired many, showing that even the youngest among us could make a profound impact. In Vallejo, the sense of community that had been strengthened during the search for Misi continued to thrive. The town had come together in its darkest hour, and this unity had sparked a positive change. Neighbors knew each other better, and there was a renewed commitment to look out for one another. The Sanchez family, grateful for the support they had received, became more involved in community activities, often seen at local events and fundraisers. Their home, once a place of sorrow, was now filled with the warmth of a family that had overcome the unthinkable. The love and bond they shared were a testament to their resilience and the healing power of family. Curtis Dean Anderson's conviction and sentencing brought a sense of justice and closure, not only to Misi and her family, but also to the entire community. It was a stark reminder of the challenges that society faces, but also of the strength found in unity and the pursuit of justice. The story of Misi Sanchez and the town of Vallejo was a powerful narrative of hope, strength, and renewal. It showed that even in the face of great evil, the human spirit could triumph. The community, once shattered by fear and uncertainty, had emerged stronger and more connected. As Vallejo looked to the future, there was a sense of optimism and determination. The town had not only survived a great ordeal, but had also grown from it. The bonds formed during those difficult days continued to flourish, turning neighbors into friends and friends into family. Misi's story, a tale of darkness and light, of fear and courage, would be passed down through the generations in Vallejo. It would serve as a reminder of the strength found in unity, the importance of resilience, and the unyielding power of hope. In the end, It was not just a story of a girl who was lost and then found. It was a story of a community reborn, ready to face a new day and write a new chapter in its history.